Hey everyone, welcome back to another Bridgerton Chronicles video. In the story of Benedict and Sophie, there's a character who definitely caught the audience's attention. Posy Ryling, Sophie's younger stepsister, was another victim in the story. A sweet girl who endured mistreatment from her mother and sister, but ultimately found the courage to stand up to them. However, we learned very little about her future once the story ended. Where did she end up living? Did she ever get married? In today's video, we're diving into what really happened to Posy after the story ended. It's worth mentioning that this video is based on the second epilogue, An Offer from a Gentleman, which is the 9th installment in the Bridgerton Happily Ever After series. On a sunny summer afternoon, in the heart of the English countryside, Posy Ryling discovered that life could begin again at 25. Many already considered her a spinster, a woman whose time on the marriage market had come and gone without much notice. But Posy was not like the others, not because she was dazzling or extraordinarily beautiful, but because she possessed something far more valuable, a kindness so deep it could illuminate even the darkest corners of another person's soul. Her childhood had not been easy. Raised beneath the shadow of an ambitious mother and a breathtaking sister, Posy learned early on how to make herself invisible. Her gowns were always modest, her accomplishments overlooked, her presence tolerated rather than celebrated. For years, she moved through society like a gentle ghost, smiling when she hurt, remaining silent when she longed to scream. But everything changed the day she chose to do the right thing, even though it meant risking everything. It was then that Violet Bridgerton, with that unique blend of firmness and warmth only a mother of 8 could possess, welcomed her into her home as if she had always belonged. Within that house, overflowing with laughter, secrets, and love, Posy began to bloom. She was no longer the plain sister or the forgotten daughter. She was simply Posy, intelligent, loyal, with eyes that seemed to understand pain without a single word being spoken. And yet, even in that refuge, a quiet restlessness remained. While her friends found husbands and built families, she stayed single. Not for lack of desire, but because men rarely looked beyond her appearance or her apparent shyness. Most treated her politely, some with pity, and none with longing. No one, until Hugh Woodson arrived. He was no fairy tale prince. He didn't ride with dramatic flair or recite poetry beneath the moonlight. He was a vicar, simple, sincere, with a smile that seemed made to calm storms. And when he stepped into the Bridgerton drawing room that afternoon, something shifted. There were no fanfares, no calculated glances, just a suspended moment in time where two souls recognized their equal without needing introductions. Posy saw him and felt her heart, silent for 25 years, finally awaken. Hugh looked at her and knew with a certainty that came not from reason, but from somewhere deeper, that he had found the perfect woman. There were no forced flirtations, no empty compliments, only a connection so natural that it felt as though it had always been written in the stars. Sophie Bridgerton, watching from the sofa with a teacup in hand, could barely contain her emotion. She, who had lived her own impossible fairy tale, recognized the signs of true love instantly. It wasn't fire or reckless passion. It was calm. It was peace. It was the certainty that someone sees you exactly as you are and chooses you anyway. Their conversation was awkward, sweet, and entirely genuine. "Do you like roses, Miss Ryling?" Hugh asked. She nodded, and he promised to bring her an entire bouquet. With a mischievous smile, Sophie suggested they take a walk in the garden. They didn't even finish their tea. They slipped outside together, and moments later, as Sophie and her husband watched from the study window, they shared their first kiss. Tender, urgent, filled with unspoken promises. It wasn't a kiss born of scandal or drama. It was the kiss of two people who, after years of feeling incomplete, had finally found their place in the world. Benedict, ever the romantic painter in his own way, murmured that he would secure a special marriage license at once. Sophie, tears in her eyes, agreed. She knew this was the happy ending Posy had always deserved. The wedding was simple, intimate, perfect. Posy glowed, not because of her gown or jewels, but because happiness radiated from her very being. Hugh looked at her as though she were the greatest miracle that had ever occurred. And perhaps she was. In a world that rewards superficial perfection, they had chosen each other for their humanity, for their scars, for their capacity to love without conditions. The years that followed brought a lively, love-filled household. First came Sophia, named after the woman who had given Posy a home, then Benedict, after the brother-in-law who had treated her like a sister. Next was Georgette, in honor of Hugh's mother, and John, after his father. 4 children raised among books, laughter, and the certainty that love comes in many forms. But the story did not end there. Just when everyone believed their family was complete, Posy surprised them all once more. In her early 30s, she gave birth to another daughter, and in a gesture that left Sophie speechless, she chose to name her Araminta. It was not a tribute to the mother who had made her feel invisible. It was an act of reconciliation with herself. By giving her daughter that name, Posy reclaimed its meaning, strength, dignity, possibility. And to soften it, she called her Minty, a tender nickname that erased any trace of bitterness. Minty grew into a spirited child, with her father's luminous smile and her mother's quiet determination. From her very first cry, it was clear she would be a leader, not a follower. And as Posy watched her grow, she knew the circle had closed. The little girl who had never been loved by her own mother was now raising a daughter who would know from her very first day that she was loved unconditionally. That's it for today's video. Let me know in the comments. What did you think about this character's ending? Did you like it or not so much? And is there another character whose story feels unfinished that you'd love to see explored? The best way to support us is by leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.